I mean, what do you think? You think they stand a chance? Well, you're on their side, aren't you? Who are you betting on,
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest one of all?
Look at these lies.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
Even if one of them survives,
the only way to stop him is to make another movie.
Welcome to the Celluloid Mirror. I am one of your hosts, Sean Mannion.
And I am your other host, Nicole Solomon. On the Celluloid Mirror, we take two films and look at what they reflect about each other, the audience, and our culture at large.
And in this episode, we're going to be discussing Chris Applehans and Maggie Kang's Kpop Demon Hunters and Chuck Russell's A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. The Dream Warriors. Excuse me, it's just Dream Warriors. I kept making that mistake. It's not The Dream Warriors,
And I kept making the mistake of having no idea that Chuck Russell was the director of this film, despite reading that credit many times.
I kept forgetting too.
When I saw it on the show doc, I was like, oh, that's who directed it. All I think about is like that Wes Craven was involved more with like the story, but he did not direct.
He didn't direct, much like another movie that I watched very recently this past weekend, They, although he was even less involved with They apparently.
Oh,
like a 2002 like weird
Wes
it's not worth
Craven's
saying.
They, and he didn't
exactly
direct
Wes
it.
Craven
Yeah.
Presents is that era of Wes Craven Presents.
He was presenting things.
He was presenting a lot of things.
Can we present things?
Can we? I don't know.
I think we can present things. I think we can start today. We'll start our presentation today by giving a brief synopsis of each film.
Fair enough.
Then we will present a discussion of our responses to the films, plural, as well as what these two films, plural, say about each other. And then we can present a wrap-up with a bit about the critical response to all the films. But fair warning, if you have not seen one or both of or either of the films we're discussing, there will very likely be a lot of spoilers in these presentations.
Many spoilers.
Just spoiled, curdled,
just
destroyed.
Yeah, smelly.
How you doing, Sean?
I'm fine. I'm alive, I guess. I don't know.
No bees in your kitchen?
No bees in my kitchen. Although there were a lot of bees. I was at the zoo and there were bees hanging around the zoo. Well, aside from there's a beehive at the zoo, like that they keep. They have like a hive that they maintain and take care of. I think that these were other bees or perhaps wasps. I never looked close enough to find out. But
yeah, I mean, bees are a lot better than wasps. Wasps are the fucking worst.
I'm not a fan of any of the insects. I don't care. They're small and they can get into things. So they can go up your nose. So I'm not okay with them.
Not all insects can go up your nose.
Okay, but like the really tiny ones, like the slightly larger ones, I'm still not okay with, but like I'm a little less concerned about.
You think they really want to go up your nose? You think
I don't know. It might be cold and they might need a warm place to burrow. I don't know. I don't trust the insects.
Sounds stressful. We gotta do phenomena on the show, because probably if we do that, we can learn how to talk to insects.
Oh, the John Travolta, right? Oh no, Jennifer Connelly. I think one of them is phenomenon and one of them is phenomena.
Yes, phenomenon is John Travolta.
John Travolta,
Phenomena is Dario Argento,
But they're both-
directing Jennifer Connelly and a switchblade wielding monkey, if I remember correctly.
But they're both like sort of psychic movies. She's psychic with bugs.
She
And-
can talk to bugs. I never saw the John Travolta Phenomenon, so I can't
he's
tell
like
you.
he's got like psychic powers or something.
I remember on the poster he's like going like this or something, and I think there's like light coming or something like that.
Something like that. I don't know. I saw it in the theater. I think I've seen it maybe 2 or 3 times back in the 90s, but not since. Much like that other movie around the same time he was in, Michael, where he's
Michael?
an angel.
Yeah, these are movies from an era that I'm never gonna forget, despite like I've not seen either of those movies. And
They're-
probably never will, but I remember and associate them.
I'm not sure if they're movies from before he did Pulp Fiction that then got
Nah.
a wider release, or if it's like he's back and he's like, but I don't want to play a bad guy and everything. So they're like, let's have him do these other things.
I think it's that. I think it's the
Yeah.
latter.
I mean, people
Pretty
talk
sure.
like he wasn't in anything between like Grease and Pulp Fiction, but the Look Who's Talking movies are right
Those
there.
were hits. Those were hits.
Those were not nothing.
It's
like,
not. It's.
They
I
weren't
mean,
good, but they weren't nothing.
good. They do exist.
They do. I watched most of them many times when I was a kid. So probably more than I should have. Probably more than anybody should have. But
Undoubtedly.
yeah.
Other films exist.
Other films exist. For example, K-pop Demon Hunters, which the IMDb synopsis for it,
IMDb.
the IMDb
The IMD.
synopsis for,
Like, take the time to pronounce it right. Don't disrespect IMD by like that.
don't mispronounce Jeff Bezos's
Exactly. Or a drone is going to come direct from Amazon and put an end to this podcast. I saw War of the Worlds. I know what they can do.
I'm not entirely opposed to that. Come and get me, drones.
Fair.
I already hate the AI, so like in the robot wars, I'm willing. You know what? I'm not going to be able to win it in the wars against the AIs. You know, we used to think it would be what Skynet, and now it's going to be Chat GPT, I guess. Oh my God, that sounds so fucking terrible. Chatbots are gonna be what brings us the world of Terminator. That's depressing. Anyway, what's not depressing is the synopsis for K-pop Demon Hunters, which is a world-renowned K-pop girl group, balance their lives in the spotlight and their secret identities as demon hunters.
That was not a depressing synopsis.
Not at all.
Nor is the synopsis for A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 Dream Warriors, which is a psychiatrist familiar with the knife-wielding dream demon Freddy Krueger helps teens at a mental hospital battle the killer who is invading their dreams.
Amazing.
They really worked to make that all one sentence.
That is impressive. That is impressive.
I'm impressed by that. I am impressed by that.
So what do we think of these films?
Yeah, are we impressed by the films?
What's your feelings, Nicole? About the films?
Feelings?
Your
Yeah, I was
feelings
like,
about the films.
You don't want to ask that question, Sean. You know.
I mean,
how I feel. I told you some of my feelings.
I can mute my headphones so you can share with everybody else your feelings and just give me a hand signal when you're done.
I'm gonna try to start with my feelings about the films. Excuse me. As you might guess from my attire, I like A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 Dream Warriors. I like it a lot. Nightmare on Elm Street is probably my favorite horror franchise, and Dream Warriors is probably my favorite sequel. The tightest competition would be Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which we have in the intro to this show, so no surprise, I like that too. Yeah, Dream Warriors is great. Dream Warriors to me is like the standard of what a mainstream horror franchise sequel should be at its best. To me, like that's kind of what I see it as. Love it. Also loved K-pop Demon Hunters. Watched it like a couple of months ago. I was a little late to it. People were telling me to watch it, and I was like, this is good. I like this a lot. It is excellent musical, which is one of the things I really appreciate about it, and it's a lot of fun. I rewatched it yesterday for the show and really dug it a second time. And yeah, I'm into these movies. Let's fight demons
Eh, they have a
or
point, though.
befriend them.
Or befriend them, I guess. I also like these movies. I think Dream Warriors might have been. No, I definitely saw the original Nightmare first, but I think Dream Warriors for a while was the only sequel I'd seen. Like, because I feel like it was tough to get my hands on them at the video store. And so I would see edited versions on cable for a while. And I think it was that I saw the original. I think I was able to rent the original, and then I saw Dream Warriors, and then nobody was showing two, so I definitely didn't see two until recently, or until a few years ago back. God, six, excuse me. Freddy's Dead, I definitely saw back then, and also Seven, which is New Nightmare. But like a lot of the in-between ones, I hadn't seen. But it is definitely my favorite of the sequels, and I have the unpopular opinion of liking its follow-up 4 more than some of the other ones, although New Nightmare is also amazing. But in some ways, New Nightmare is like a separate beast. So
I don't think is it that unusual to like 4? I know that a lot of people are like, I don't like 4 because it's funny and that's bad. But like, I don't know, people I know, everyone loves 4. Like, it's so much
they're
fun.
all funny. I mean,
I don't
teenagers getting killed by a ghost, that's hilarious.
Dream Child is not as that.
And maybe it's that because I don't hate Dream Child as much as other people, but it's not that high up on my list. But anyway, Dream Warriors, love Dream Warriors. I agree that it is a really, really good way to do the sequel for it. I think it was a good way to do. I have mixed feelings about Nancy's ending in it, which is, like fine. I think you kind of should have mixed feelings sometimes because with these, it means they tried something. But yeah, I have a long relationship with it. I like it. Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on the Nancy thing since people may not remember or may not know?
So
Spoilers.
Nancy dies at the end.
Nancy from the first, the final
movie.
girl from the first one.
Yeah, and it kind of, one of the things that I think is good about this as a sequel is there's that ending in the end of the original where they're driving off, but it's a dream, and like they're in the car, and the car is probably Freddy. And this movie is just like, okay, sure, but we're just going to ignore that part, and we're just going to be like, Nancy got out. Nancy's mom did die in the movie, as we see, and her dad didn't. And they were just like, this is what we're doing. This is the continuity. Don't worry about it. Instead of like trying to explain everything, which people would feel compelled to do now. I think that's great as far as the setup. Like, just use what you need to use. There's just enough where if you saw the original, like, you'd understand who she was and where she was coming from. And if you didn't, they give you enough information that it doesn't matter. And then at the end, she dies in their fight with Freddy, and that's where I have mixed feelings. Like, part of me doesn't want the final girl from the original to die because, Nancy being kind of like this first person who defeated him, you don't necessarily want that, but it does have a sort of passing of the torch sort of feeling to it, which is nice, but also just to like yeah, you don't always get to survive all of them. Otherwise, like if it's always just Freddy versus this one person, it's nice in that they wrap her up in a way where she is helping these other kids so much. Um, but yeah,
The only thing that bugs me about Nancy dying in Dream Warriors, aside from Nancy dying, is sad. I don't want her to die, but it's supposed to be sad. That's why they did it. They wanted that emotional impact that you'd get.
mhm.
Um, I don't like that became the pattern where it was like, okay, like one or two or maybe three people will survive and then they'll all die in the next one. Like that started being a
Yeah,
thing.
that
But I can't really fault Dream Warriors for that because,
well, that really just happened with four, didn't it? Like,
but then like the girl from Alice from 4 like goes over to 5, right? And
but
then
she
but she doesn't
survives through
die. She
five.
survives. She
Yeah, I think they
survives.
just I don't like that in four that they cleared out the Dream Warriors.
That's
Um,
really the thing that bugs me. D- I mean, fun as 4 is, that just
it's one of
bugs
those
me.
it would almost be better not to have them in that one, and that they had their triumph over Freddy, and then Freddy moves on to other victims.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't love the idea that your triumph over Freddy is inevitably going to be undone in the next film. That I don't mind if that happens sometimes, but it started to feel like, oh, it just started to feel hacky, and
yeah,
that bugs me.
yeah, I'm not. I don't know if you heard that. I had a very loud motorcycle go through the neighborhood.
Nope.
Probably ended up on the live stream. Anyway, uh, and that's why we do the separate audio release. K-pop Demon Hunters, I saw a little while after it came out. I think people were already very into it, and then we watched it. I saw it a few weeks before you did, I think. Um,
Yeah, you saw it first.
yeah, and I enjoyed it. I like the animation style. It's by the same folks, some of the same folks, I think, who worked on the Spider-Verse movies, and the stylization is I enjoy the musical aspect to it's very really fun. There's the demon cat thing, which is fun, and I think it had like a predictable but still entertaining sort of arc to it. Like there was nothing about it where I was surprised. There's pretty much like one of those like, oh yeah, it's going to be this thing, but that didn't bother me, which I think is good. Like if I'm watching a movie and I'm like, oh, it's going to be this, and that's all there is to it, and I'm going to be bored, and I'm bored, then that sucks. This didn't have that, which is nice because well, it's kind of like, speaking of Wes Craven, what rewatched Scream the other day, and I've seen Scream so many times, but it's engaging and it's fun every single time, even though I totally know the end. I always know the end. And it's almost more fun because of all the hints that are dropped throughout. But like this, I was like, oh, this is a pretty standard like anime, like this is where this is going, that this character's going to have this and there's going to be that. But like it was still a lot of fun to watch, which is what was really important about it. So, yeah, so that's how I felt about it. That's how you felt about those movies, and we'll talk about the connections. But Nicole, do you know what time it is? It's time,
6:21 p.m.
it's time for a word from our sponsor.
We they came back. We have a sponsor again. That's amazing.
Well,
Let's
we have a
see.
different sponsor this time. Go ahead and check out who the sponsor
Okay.
is.
I'm
And let
so
me know when you're
excited.
ready so that I
I
can
can't
share it with everybody.
I can't wait to see who our sponsor is and our okay. Our sponsor, I'm looking at it. You can bring it up. Our sponsor is Surrender.
Surrender.
all I'm thinking about now is a Miley Cyrus song that Sean, not this Sean viewers, a different Sean, and I had an argument about, where I was on the pro Miley Cyrus side, which is not a usual thing, because he felt that her song Golden Burning Sun was ripping off Cheap Trick and their song Surrender, because the chorus involves the word surrender. We A-B'd it, and I maintain that he's wrong and Miley is not biting in this situation. I'm not saying she hasn't bitten before. I have never listened to an entire Miley Cyrus album before in my life, but I liked her album that came out, Something Beautiful. I like, I'm not going to talk about the songs I like. That's all I can think about with Surrender, but now I'm realizing, Sean, life's hard.
Yeah.
And it can grind you down.
A little bit.
And sometimes you might be like, you know what? I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of trying to get things done. I'm tired of pushing this boulder up the hill. I'm tired of trying to make things work or be better or keep my house clean or stocked with food or myself properly dressed or any of these things. And you know what you need? When it's all too fucking much and you're tired of doing all of it.
What do you need, Nicole?
Surrender.
Fair.
Sweet surrender. Just lay back. Let the disasters occur where they may. I am throwing up my hands. I am abdicating my responsibilities as an adult human being, as so many others seem to have already done. So why am I so late to the party, Sean? Why didn't somebody tell me about surrender? Back when I could have enjoyed my youth.
Could you have, though? No. Because
now,
you didn't surrender.
That's what I'm saying. If I'd known about surrender, tell a friend, save us. Well, don't save a soul. Possibly save a life. Save a lot of effort. Energy.
It was never worth it in the first place.
Those people, and they're like not even trying to keep up with what the fuck is going on. I don't mean people who are like, I can't be plugged in every second. I can't be plugged in every second. I take a lot of media breaks and things like that. But I do want to know what's going on. And some people are just kind of like, I'm done. Surrender. I want what they have.
I agree.
I don't want to know about measles being, back on trend. I don't want to know about what's happening with bird flu. I don't want to know about all the vaccines that are going to be illegal to talk about in 2 weeks. Just surrender. Just going to lay back and let the moss grow over me. I guess that means I need to surrender outside.
I mean, if you surrender long enough inside, the moss will grow over you inside. You just really have to commit for a few centuries.
I think, once you've surrendered, you don't want to go back. So you're there. You are there until you have decomposed and returned to the earth, as we all will someday. For we all came from stardust, and stardust shall we become again once we surrender. Do you know where you can find surrender?
I'm not sure. Is it in Queens? No. Is it? Oh, it's by that KFC. No. Is it Route 40 off the Bennigans?
So close.
Oh,
So close. It's on Route 13 next to Bennigan's. That's where you can find
wrong
Surrender.
route.
And everything else you might possibly need or want.
Technically, we're just sponsored by that one strip mall, and actually just that one unit in that one strip mall. Just
We did
whoever's in it. So
Yeah, we put our business card there. So when they move out and the new people come in and they're like, we got to advertise our new business, they're like, oh, thank goodness there's a podcast. We can tell.
exactly, because everybody knows the best way for anybody to hear about your business is podcasts.
Especially a podcast that's just done by two people and not some production company that got purchased by Jeff Bezos or like an Obama or something.
We could get purchased by an Obama.
Could we?
I mean,
How? Sounds good.
technically we could. I would sell out.
Yeah, no, that's
I
fine.
would sell out in a minute. Not even a minute, like 32 seconds.
This isn't a conversation, Sean. If someone wants to buy our show, we're selling. I mean, like Ben Shapiro could want to buy our show.
No, not that guy. I'd punch that guy in the face.
That's why we would sell the show. You would have such a better opportunity to do that.
Okay, we got to do the deal in person because that guy needs to get punched in the face.
That's fine. No, I'm not saying I would work for Ben Shapiro. I'm just saying I would allow my podcast to be acquired by his media empire for purposes of sabotage.
It's a very valuable podcast.
I know, and I just blew our shot, didn't I?
Probably. Which brings us back to that we should just surrender and probably talk about the connections between these films.
Truth. All right. So, what a great sponsorship we had. That was our sponsor, Sean.
That was
today.
Our sponsor for today. And we should be proud of that, I assume.
What do you want to talk about what these films have in common? I made some notes.
You've made some notes.
Yes. I don't know if you want to talk or if you want me to talk.
I mean, both films are about like a group of young people. I think they're teenagers. I think the singers are teenagers.
I took them as teenagers.
Yeah, especially because it's that one is basically like turning 18, I think, or I don't remember exactly. But she's turning a certain age, so it's a young person. It's that sort of story, and they've got to accept their own sort of flaws. And the flaws in one another in order to band together to conquer their supernatural enemy. It's in a lot of ways, it's kind of the same. It's a very similar plot, with the main difference just being that, like, one of them isn't like secretly part Freddy or something like that in Dream Warriors. But yeah, it's... Freddy and Guima in the two are very, very similar in how they are manipulating and controlling not only the main characters, but just others throughout. Like Freddy, it's through fear, but he also, much like Guima, uses shame as like that sort of key thing. Like Freddy is also very much about like what you're ashamed of, like, and putting that in your face. And I think that's consistent through at least most of the early films. Like he was always attacking people for sort of these sorts of things.
Especially in 3 and 4, I think. And maybe and like 5, 6. I feel like it was kind of in that area that really became the death set pieces would always be specific to the person, and it wasn't always about like an insecurity or fear or shame, but it often was. Like in 4, I'm thinking like I don't think the girl who dies working out or the guy who dies when they ran out of money and they had the like karate sequence where the Freddy glove, disembodied Freddy glove, kills him. Those aren't really very shame oriented, but in 5, there's like, the girl with the eating disorder who has the like horrific forced like feeding death,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, he definitely uses those. And there's, I think, an argument for that in a lot of ways. In the first one, Freddy is kind of that like shame of or guilt
Sins
that
of
the
the parents
parents, yeah, that they
who
have
killed him. That's if anyone didn't
being
know.
being visited on the kids, which is I think one of the reasons why that the original is so good is because it has that sort of subtext to it. It's these kids, these teenagers being punished for what their parents did, and then it kind of goes on down through the films, but in a lot of ways it is like if these kids didn't have whatever, I think all the kids in Dream Warriors, they might not be suicidal, but they're considered suicidal, at risk, in it, which I think was probably a good chunk of what they were trying to explore with the movie and Freddy in a thematic way. I'm not saying that they were sitting there like going like, so Freddy it's gonna be about teen suicide, but probably like a level of which the film they were like, oh, this kind of matches this, or it's in the zeitgeist, I feel like pretty regularly. Um,
I
so
mean,
that
especially in the late 80s, I think was a kind of uptick in that being discussed in a certain kind of way. I could be wrong. Maybe it was
I
just
think
the
you're right. I think there's cycles of it, right? Like I think there's cycles of every and especially like community dependent, right? Like, but it comes up because I don't think. I mean, I think that there's numbers on it, but I can't remember exactly like where the trends are. But I think every once in a while it becomes like a big topic of like where the trends are in that. Are they going up? Are they going down? Um, Something brings it into the forefront. And that was probably something in the late 80s there that was doing that.
um Reagan. But anyway,
Drugs,
what
yeah, the whole like say no to drugs stuff, and they were probably talking a lot about that, and that's what's driving the kids to kill themselves.
also the whole Nightmare on Elm Street series, so much of the core of it is about that experience of adolescence where, you know, you're in your own world that adults are largely unaware of, right? Teenagers are
Hmm.
always struggling with all kinds of like intense stuff that the adults around them are kind of oblivious to or not being helpful about. That experience of teenage alienation from your parents is, I don't want to say universal, but very, very, very common. And those sorts of dynamics get played with a lot in movies aimed at teenagers for obvious reasons. And so in a movie like Nightmare on Elm Street that has such a great central metaphor about like the children paying for the sins of their parents that they didn't even know about, and then the levels of denial that the parents are going through too, it's like, a recurring theme is like the adults don't want to see what's happening.
Yeah.
They don't want to know about it. They're in denial about it. Their children are the ones who are able to face the difficult reality. And the adults are often undermining the kids, not intentionally, but out of their own denial and inability to face their own actions and consequences and all of that, which is great material for a horror movie. And I guess with that sort of setup, it just kind of follows logically that you would go a Return to Oz route.
Hmm.
Another movie we've talked about on this show where Dorothy is sent to get electroshock therapy because her aunt and uncle don't believe any of the stuff she's saying about Oz. This is kind of very similar. At least some of the kids, I think they do establish that part of why they were sent there is because of their Freddy nightmares
Yes.
and not being believed around that. And, it's not like Freddy's making them act out and that's why, it's like, yeah. And so then when Nancy comes to work at the hospital, and I actually think that IMDb description might be wrong. I don't think she's actually a psychiatrist.
are they? Hold on, let me go back to it real quick. Let
Like,
me
she
look
has
at
a job there, but I don't. What am I saying? I was going to say she could not have become a psychiatrist that quickly,
Right, she would have
but
had to
she
become a
really.
doctor first. She's an intern of some kind.
Yeah,
So
she's like in, but I mean, it's like she would have had to graduate college. She was still in high school in 1984.
right, but how
This
long? Like
this
how
movie came out in
many?
1987.
Right, but how long has it been? Like, has it only been 3 years, or has it been longer?
I don't know.
She could be a very advanced student. I don't know. It was the 80s. There were no rules in the 80s. She was probably paying like a pack of gum and 35 cents per semester for that psych degree. She was like considered like fancy because she was writing about like the thing. Like
What?
this is one of those elements. Like she was considered like she had written something that was the reason why they like looped her in or something like that. Like, or we're like, oh no, this intern's so great because she writes about this stuff. Like it's one of those like, wait, how old is Nancy in this is one of those things that's best left unthought about.
Agree. I'm not.
Just like the end of the original movie. It's like, we don't worry about that. That's one of the it's the good kind of ignoring continuity in a sequel where they're just like, yeah, it's more convenient for us if she does this.
I believe, though, that formally franchise horror movies, any jump scary thing that happens in the last scene is not canon as being actually happening in reality. That it,
Okay.
like, think about, like, at the end of Carrie, right? When Carrie, like, reaches her hand up through the grave.
Right.
Did
Right.
that actually happen? It doesn't matter.
Well,
Is the
I
answer.
didn't factor into the rage Carrie too, so I assume not.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. We know that it doesn't matter because how often do horror sequels ever actually engage with whatever, like, last guy? I
That
mean, like, I literally will call that scene the Freddy Mobile, like, just because
yeah.
for me, the Nightmare on Elm Street final scene is such a archetypical example of exactly what I'm talking about. So, like, when I made Small Talk, my thesis film, which has a scene at the end that suggests that maybe stuff's not over, like, I called it the Freddy Mobile as
Mm.
shorthand because that's like just what I think of those scenes as.
I mean, I think at the time that's true, like when 80s through like probably the mid 90s, but I think after that it's like they had to deal with it. Like I
But
think
I
of
think
like
we should go back.
I agree. I think Final Destination is one of those examples. Like they do that last thing with them, which of the first Final Destination, where it caps it off, and then when they follow it up and they bring, what's her name, Stream River Creek, whatever her name is, the Ally Larder character shows up back
Oh,
in
I don't know their
two.
names.
She's in the padded room hiding out because of what happens in France at the end of the first movie.
Yes.
I think but I think that's that's related to just kind of the overall overfixation on continuity and
It's very 21st century. It's very 20th versus 21st century filmmaking, I
well,
feel.
I think it's also very like home video and like especially like DVD, like the proliferation of home video. Once that happened, and then you got the internet and people talking to each other more, you can't get away with those continuity things because it hasn't been 2 years since people saw it. They went and rented the old
Yeah.
one right before they saw it, which honestly sucks. I think it makes things worse. One of the things that I actually, just to mention something else that's current, one of the things that I like about the Peacemaker season 2, which takes place in a different continuity than Peacemaker season 1, is they cover that all in the previously on in the beginning of the first episode. They're just like, here's what happened previously. And if you've watched the first season and you watch the previously on, a bunch of the scenes are like scenes from season 1, but they're different. And he's just said, if we don't mention it, it didn't happen, is the rule. And I'm like, good. there you go. Don't over-explain it. Don't do any of that. Just say, if we mention it, if we reference it, if we show it, it happened. If not, didn't happen. And I'm on board with that because continuity is starting, and the reliance on I'm a big fan, you know this, and I think it's come up here. I'm a big fan of a lot of franchises that have decades worth of continuity behind them, like Star Trek and stuff like that. And continuity has gone from becoming like an interesting way to tell stories to this like albatross hanging around their necks, preventing
Agree.
them from telling stories because they also then have to well, they do too many prequels and things, but like all of that, like it just becomes Star Wars has the same problem now. Like it's telling all these stories in between the sequel trilogy and the original trilogy, and now it's got a kind of a bunch of them are so now they're like, well, we got to kind of fit into this space. And not do anything like new necessarily. It's sort of repeating the same stuff. And I think that's happened with a lot of things where it's like, well, we can't have the Freddie Mobile scene because we're going to have to follow up on the Freddie Mobile scene, or we can't bring any of those characters back because they died in the Freddie Mobile scene. But fuck that. Like, it's just, it was a dream. It doesn't matter. It was an imaginary story. Like when Superman could fire little Superman out of his fingertips. There was a story in the 50s where Superman could shoot little Superman out of his fingertips.
That's not disturbing at all.
The
What happened to those little Supermen?
No idea. I don't remember. Didn't read that one. But in the 1950s, they were like, what can we do with Superman? Anything we want. We just slap imaginary story on the front of it.
So that's what we thought.
Yeah.
Little Superman. That's what we thought.
Little Superman.
What did critics think of Dream Warriors?
Of Dream Warriors? Well,
yeah.
So Gene Siskel in the Chicago Tribune, Gene Siskel said that this is the kind of hyper-violent and rather stupid series of thrillers about an adult child killer with knives for fingers who is burnt to death but now has returned to haunt more teenagers in their sleep. The third in a hyper-violent and rather stupid series, excuse me. The kids are all patients at a clinic where group therapy fails to stop their nightmares. What you get for your money are scenes with a severed head, the simultaneous injection of 10 hypodermic needles, presumably filled with heroin, and 4 long tongues that turn into arms and ankle straps for a sex scene. It's not a sex. Okay. Whoopi, the film's only blessing, it just may be bad enough to kill off the series, and it didn't.
It was a huge hit.
It was. And it actually is the reason that there was more.
Yeah, everybody, like, I think it is almost universally considered a highlight of the post-original series.
Which we will we'll touch on here in a minute when we talk about the Letterboxd reviews as well. There's also John Alamang in the Globe and Mail from Toronto. Of course, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors is repulsive. That is its primary attraction. All right-thinking people will steer clear, but wrong thinkers with a taste for the grotesque will be in heaven or the nearest satanic equivalent.
He's joking, right? He's not being Rex Reed here and being serious about the like satanic stuff and like wrong thinkers. Like he's being cheeky, right?
I think I can't tell.
It's hard in the 80s.
I think it's like it seems like he's being serious and yet also like what kind of review did he give?
Well, Metacritic gives it 63, which seems high.
That seems positive. So he's like if you like this sort of thing.
That's what I think. I think he's like, I mean, 63 isn't, I would say, is like,
it's higher than 50.
It's higher than 50, but I think it would be in the like yellow category on Metacritic.
Sure.
I think kind of like 70 and up is green.
Uh,
70 to 40 is like, yellow, and then it's red or whatever.
Which reminds me, didn't say that Dream Warriors overall on Metacritic has a 49, which is mixed or average.
Yeah.
Which is lower than 50. Lower than 50 by 1. I can count.
Yes.
I know numbers. Would you like to share the Letterboxd half-star review that tells us a little bit about how some people, wrong people, think of the movie?
Yes. Lexi KK gave Dream Warriors half a star. And Lexi KK says, does not keep you guessing. Anthropomorphic wheelchair, you betcha. Freddy Krueger's mother is a ghost nun, of course. Larry Fishburne getting a major credit despite only having 5 minutes of screen time as an orderly, naturally. The least scary Freddy. Boo. I don't agree with this review, but I respect this review. That's fine. Honestly. Like, you're right. Larry Fishburne should have been on screen more.
Yeah. I mean, even
you're
at the
right,
time,
the
he
ghost
was
nun
kind of a
thing
more
is
thing.
not like it, but to your point earlier, for me, the goal of a Freddy sequel is not to be kept guessing.
No, you know what's going to happen.
That's part of why you're watching a Freddy sequel.
Yeah.
For the enjoyment that comes from having expectations get met.
It's also the part of why you watch any slasher. It's a supernatural slasher. Any slasher. The point is not, this is going to surprise me. It's teenagers going to die.
Yeah.
And that's fun.
Sometimes there are surprising slashers. It can happen, but like that to say that it's interesting to me because I'm like, wait, where is this assumption that like the goal of a horror movie, let alone a franchise slasher sequel, is to keep you guessing? I'm wondering, like, what movies keep this person guessing? But also, it's this thing, it's kind of like you were saying before. I just don't. It doesn't necessarily diminish the enjoyment of watching something like a K-pop Demon Hunters or a Dream Warriors, where you know how it's gonna play out more or less. You don't necessarily know everything, but you get the basic thing. There's gonna be a final girl, and they're gonna have a showdown, and it's and like most of the teens will die. One or more will probably survive, unless it's like Final Destination. But that's because also Final Destination's kind of whole point is death's gonna get you in a different way than like any other franchise. So it's doing a slight, like, I would dislike that for the most part everyone ends up dead in Final Destination because I don't like mean-spirited horror usually, where it's like, and now she's dead, dumb bitch. Like, I really can't with that kind of thing.
Right.
But I don't feel like Final Destination's doing that. And I know we're not here to talk about Final Destination. I feel like Final Destination is here to help us all cope with the inevitability of death.
Well, and I think the Final Destination movies I don't think any of them are ever very, like, every once in a while there's somebody where you're like, I'm looking forward to that guy getting it. But they're not like mean-spirited about it. Like it's not like, we're going to get this one person because like in this particular way. Like even Freddy, like, to come back in some ways it's cruel. He's cruel as a character. And in some ways, like particular parts, what is it? Taryn, right? Taryn's the name of the girl who has the heroin addiction.
The heroin addict?
Yeah. Like
the punk girl?
That's a very nasty one. But it doesn't feel like mean-spirited because she fights him. Like she gets her licks in with him, so to speak. I just realized he's got a whole tongue theme going and I just use word licks and it's not good. But yeah.
Also, Taryn's cool. Like, I think everybody likes Taryn. I love Taryn. I'm sad when she dies. It's upsetting. I also have a fake Dare t-shirt that does have Freddy Krueger on it with hypodermic needles for nails. because that's what I think is funny. But I don't think it's funny in the movie when she dies. I think it's sad and disturbing and upsetting.
Yeah.
Like she's a likable character. We're with her. That's not, and that's one of the things I love so much about Dream Warriors in general. Is it's one of my favorite formulas, which is like Island of Misfit Toys, make a found family, and come together and find all the unique things that make them special little rejects are what are going to help them, fight the monster. Like that's what K-pop Demon Hunters actually ends up being, even though that's not kind of the setup. K-pop Demon Hunters is so much about the three protagonists who start the movie at the top of their game as these, the biggest K-pop band in the world, and they just all seem like just perfect, totally together, blah, 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 blah. But they've all got like stuff that they've been told not to let show because people in their position can't show their fears and can't show their flaws because they need to fight the demons and be the pop stars and all that. And pop star demon slayers don't have fears or flaws, but of course they do. And actually not being in denial about the reality of who you are and embracing your true self ends up being the key in K-pop Demon Hunters to why the group is able to come back together and defeat Rima and build a new, what do they call it, like Hanmoon? That's like the thing that protects them from the demons.
I don't remember the word, but I know it. Yeah, like the shield.
Yeah, and they make a new one that's like different from the old one they were maintaining through their, performance of perfection. They've got the new one where, what's her name? Rumi can be like, hey, I'm actually part demon. I don't have to hide this from everybody and we can never go to the bathhouse, and Mira's like, I was the black sheep of my family and I'm kind of like a little blunt and gruff and that's okay. That's a big part of what makes me me. And I guess Zoe, I don't really get it. I never quite got what Zoe's thing was beyond that she lived in the United States and they, at a couple points, mostly through song, are like, she's torn between two worlds. So there's something going on with that for her, but still, like they make clear that this is the intention. They sing a beautiful song. This is what it sounds like, the climactic song, where they're building their new Hanmoon and taking strength in their unique rough edges and all that. And it's very beautiful. It gets to me. It's just one of my favorite plots. So it's not surprising that and I mean, that's part of why I like Nightmare on Elm Street so much too, right? Because almost all of those movies are some version of that.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but almost all of them.
Yeah, I feel like
not New Nightmares so much, and
no,
not
New
even
Nightmares were different.
And not
Freddy
really
versus
the second
Jason,
one.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not even canon. Fuck Freddy versus Jason.
I mean, it's the last movie now, so it's the end of the canon.
I mean, if the reboot isn't canon, which it's not.
Well, the reboot would be a separate that's a separate canon. It's separate.
Freddy versus Jason is its own thing. If it should have been.
I don't actually have a horse in that race, so
here's my problem with Freddy versus Jason. It betrays the central tenet of the Nightmare on Elm Street series, which is that the parents are not secretly doing what's in the kid's best interests, and the kids should just listen to their parents. Because remember, they're giving the Elm Street kids the dream suppressants, and the kids are like, we're being drugged. We have to stop this. Oh, whoops. We should have just been, wordlessly obedient to authority figures. That is counter to what makes that franchise that franchise.
I don't think that the film handles it very well, but I do think that film was kind of trying to say that to a degree that wasn't a solution to the problem, because obviously Freddy was still there, right?
Yes, but
if you're not going to face him, you're just gonna drug the kids to not face the problems, which I think was commenting on something else in a way that was bullshit. But that's another thing. But like, I don't think it was necessarily that the adults were right, so much as that, like,
I look, to be fair, it's been a very long time since I saw that movie. I have seen it more than once though, and I don't think it's totally consistent. So I'm not
no,
saying
it's wildly inconsistent. Yeah.
it may absolutely be trying to do the things you're saying it's trying to do. And I also thought they had a real big gotcha moment where it's like, LOL on you, dumbass. And I don't appreciate that in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
But some people really appreciate the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and the half-star reviews were not that many, actually. Like, normally when I go through, so I find kind of just recent ones because I'm lazy. This one was from a couple of years ago, and it was only a couple pages into the half-star reviews. Like, this is a very, like, on Letterboxd still, like, I'm sure it's like at least 3 stars for most people. But there's a lot of 5-star reviews. And this is a recent one. Do you want to read this one? Do you want me to read this one?
Either way, I'll read it if you want. I
Go
like
for it.
reading. I can do it. Reading. Watch. The perfect follow-up to the first film takes everything great about it and improves on it in every way, whilst also continuing the story from the first. You didn't have to say first twice in that sentence. I'm sorry, Austin. I'm not trying to. It's a Letterboxd review. Everyone should see the typos in my Letterboxd reviews. The franchise could have easily ended right here and it would have been a satisfying conclusion, but really things were only just getting started, and that's okay, because I do enjoy the following sequels quite a bit in their own right. Also, Dream Warriors by Dokken rocks. That's from Austin. I largely agree. I don't think that it's a better movie than the original. I don't think it improves on everything. But overall, I'm right on, Austin.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's better. I mean, like, I would sometimes maybe allow for, like, they are on equal or almost equal footing. Like, not often, but sometimes I might be like, if you were to say we can watch Nightmare the 1 or Nightmare 3 tonight, I would have a hard time picking.
I often would pick 3 over 1 in that situation. Like, I don't, if someone wants to say Dream Warriors is a better movie than the first one, that's fine. I'm not going to fight them about that.
Right.
Like,
right.
that's not what I would say, but who cares?
But I think it recommends a sequel well, in that, like, if you have a choice, like, in them. But then there are in some respects, like, just thinking about that idea now, where a lot of those 80s franchises, they had a good, like, when it comes down to the sequels, I think there are a lot of sequels in different 80s franchises where it's like, I kind of like this one as much as I like that one. I mean, I like Return, not quite as much as Empire Strikes Back, but I like Return of the Jedi a lot. And I might have sometimes a hard time deciding between which of those two 80s franchise movies I watch.
Yeah, but I mean, they're both sequels.
Yeah, no. I just mean in terms of franchises, like, choosing between, and I mean, I can't go back to the original Star Wars in this example where I'm talking about the 80s, because that's 77 and that's not the 80s.
Oh,
but
okay.
But
yeah,
it doesn't matter that much. But
yeah, there's lots of franchises where I, like, a lot of times I'd pick Scream 2 over Scream 1. It's not because sometimes I will say Scream 2 is a better movie than Scream 1, but I am being a little disingenuous and a little bit of a something. Then it's just because I really, really do love Scream 2 and think that people should give it more credit. And
it's a lot of fun. It's a good one. I am one of the few people who's like, oh, Scream 3 is. I love Scream 3.
Yeah, let's not talk about Scream 3 because you and I disagree.
I enjoy the hell out of Scream 3. Like, I don't think it's a great movie, but I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I would watch it. I think I like 2 a lot better. But I do want to say the reviewer we were just talking about from Austin, he pointed out that the song Dream Warriors by Dokken rocks. And one of the other connections I wanted to mention between these films is while K-pop Demon Hunters is a full-on musical, and by that, it's like it's not just a movie with a lot of K-pop songs in it. The songs tell the story. The
Yeah.
songs move the story forward. The story's not stopping for, music videos. Like, and it works the way a musical is supposed to work.
Mhm.
Dream Warriors is not a musical, but the song Dream Warriors is such a classic and so iconic and so powerful that we would be remiss to not talk about the role of music in Dream
Well,
Warriors.
there's both Dream Warriors, the song, and like how that sells the movie. But there's also the title song, or that not the title song, but the opening song, which is Into the Fire, right? Which is Dokken, which evokes, Freddy's origins.
With fire,
With
he was
fire.
burned.
He was burned. So it's a very of its time. K-pop is a very popular musical form today that I think I've heard some of other than this movie, but I don't pay a ton of attention to because I don't pay a ton of attention to any current music or music from like I catch up eventually.
I'm gonna send you some playlists I've been making.
Which
There's
I will
Cat's Eye
probably
on-
listen to a few of here and there. Like
You don't have to listen. I'm just
no,
gonna
I will
provide
probably
them to
because I'm
you.
curious. It's just one of those. It's just one of those things where it's like if I'm in the, I have to be in the my listening habits. They go through little phases right now. I'm listening to a lot of audiobooks. And sometimes I'll listen to a lot of podcasts, and then suddenly I'll be listening to nothing but music for months. And so I'll probably have to save those suggestions for when I'm back on my music kick.
I'm trying to reintegrate daily music listening into my life because for most of my life it was a key way I regulated my emotions, and then everything went digital and I didn't have physical records anymore, and I stopped listening to music so much because I would have to stop and think about what I wanted to listen to instead of just seeing what CDs I had in my bag.
I was thinking about something similar. I mean, it's a little off topic, but I was thinking about because every once in a while we're evaluating like our streaming subscriptions, right? Like and the cost and then going like, it actually is not that big of our budget, honestly. But like the frustrating thing is like that time spent going like, what are we gonna watch? And then we end up spending like half an hour just trying to figure out like if we don't already have something. And so sometimes I'm like, I kind of miss when cable didn't give me a choice, or even over the air didn't give me a choice. And it was just like, this is what's on. And that's probably kind of an old person thing now, but like,
I mean, a lot of people feel that way. I don't, whatever. I don't want to get too off topic, but I do think the advantages we were sold on of like everything being streaming, don't own anything, were greatly overstated, and we're all learning ways in which that doesn't work for us.
Yeah.
That it's not just better. But to bring it back, I do think you're very right about the musical connection that like K-pop is a very of the moment. It's been a, very popular form of music in the United States, which is where K-pop Demon Hunters was made. It's a US Netflix film, is my understanding. It's not a Korean film. A lot of Korean people worked on it, but and K-pop has been popular here for, it's been popular globally for a long time, but it's really taken off here, for it's been
about 10 years
10
or so.
years?
Yeah, I want to say
Yeah.
it's been about 10 years or so.
Yeah. So longer probably than hair metal with that name had been around in the 80s, but in terms of like hair metal was a big popular mainstream kind of
Yeah, it
popular
was
music to say
pop
popular
rock
term.
at the time. It wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't pop music, it wasn't hard rock. It was the pop rock of the time that had evolved out of the marketing people like saw that like glam rock was working and hard rock was working and they could sell the hair metal guys. They saw how Well, actually by 87, Van Halen had been around for a bit, and the first hair metal like album that like was like number one or something like that was Metal Health by what are they called? That guy, I remember the name of the album, but not the band, but Metal Health, and I think that was like 83 or 82. So I think 87 you're closing in on almost a decade of it hadn't been called hair metal yet, but then by the end of the 80s and the early 90s it was I think more dismissively called hair metal. I think at the time it was just like metal, or
But
it was just rock at the time.
there's a very analogous like sop to the kids to get them into the movie thing happening
Yeah.
with genre. Obviously, like K-pop Demon Hunters is skewed younger than Dream Warriors in terms of like who they're marketing it to. I think hair metal skewed a little older. Like K-pop, like 5-year-olds like K-pop.
Yeah.
Hair metal was more, sex, drugs, and rock and roll
Yeah, that was
topics. And
teenagers. Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, kids listen to it too, obviously, but whatever. That's a difference. K-pop Demon Hunters, a lot of adults are into it, as we were discussing. Sean was telling me about the SNL skit over the weekend that pokes a little fun at, adults being into K-pop Demon Hunters. It is a children's movie. It is a good children's movie, though, which is of the sort that holds up.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of, we should probably talk about what the critics had to say about
Considering we've been
it.
talking over an hour and we haven't even discussed critical response to K-pop Demon Hunters, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think
Good
that's a
idea.
good idea. So, Brandon Yu in the New York Times said the action sequences are fluid and immersive. The art is frequently striking, and the music, catchy if formulaic earworms, is a properly wielded and dynamic storytelling tool. And on Metacritic, it has a 77, generally favorable, which, I think a mild tangent, but I think it's interesting seeing an older movie next to a newer movie in the Metacritic thing, because I do think that there is more than a little bit of bias for newer movies in
Definitely.
any of these things, because it would I say that overall is K-pop Demon Hunters, you know, you know what? I wouldn't. I would actually put these two movies very close to the same quality. Like
Agree.
K-pop Demon Hunters is a lot of fun. It's a good movie. The music is really good. But I think it's only getting the kind of favorable response that it's getting because it is like it's a new movie. And there's this it's not I think that in that meta score that Dream Warriors is being underappreciated, and this one is just a smidge being overappreciated for what it is.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's like when there's a kids movie that adults can watch many times and it's holds up, that's gonna really, there are parents writing film reviews
Yeah.
and they're gonna be very appreciative of that. Also, I don't think it's as polarizing as horror movies were in the 80s. Like the 80s weren't like now with elevated horror and A24 and shit like that. Like in the 80s, critics like just dumped on horror movies
Yeah.
so much in a way that they don't now, or maybe
Well,
they do, but not nearly as much. It's not
well,
as this.
yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. No, go
It
ahead.
just like, I mean, like the Gene Siskel
Yeah.
review. That's like very typical, of the kind of response critics would give this stuff, of just like, this is dumb and sick, and like they seemed offended that they had to be reviewing it.
Yeah. I mean, I think also like the type of horror movie that Dream Warriors is also not allowed to have the kind of release and support that that movie had at the time. Like those movies end up on stream. That kind of movie ends up on streaming, ends up on like Shudder, ends up, it'll come out, but it won't get the kind of like spread. And and I'm not complaining about like the movies we are getting, with like Bring Her Back, which we saw, which I thought was good, but like, all horror movies, but like this sort of fun horror movie, like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies are like fun. They're kind of, and they're a little less about like the scare, as that person was saying, it wasn't very scary. Like, I think those don't get the kind of support, they don't get the kind of budget that they used to get either, I don't think. So I don't
Well,
think so.
yeah, you can't do it. Also, like, so much of what makes these movies is the practical effects, and like, God, now I'm thinking about the reboot again. And I didn't even think that the effects in the reboot were so terrible. I just don't like the way that kind of effects look, and I
Hmm.
really love the way practical effects look. And it's not even about like, do I believe this? Is it selling or not? It's just what I like to look at on screen,
Yeah.
because unlike what Bret Easton Ellis believes, it is not only cisgender men who can get excited about seeing a movie, like the seeing a movie part of a movie,
Yeah.
because, he thinks that men are like visually stimulated. Like, and he doesn't mean sexual. I mean, he does
No,
mean
no, I
sexually, but
understand.
not only. And, that
I,
women and other non-binary people, whatever, are not, which he knows, because he has a secret underground lab where he's been doing tests. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude?
I
Like,
think
literally, what are you talking about?
he's one of those people who told some stories that fit like the time that he was telling them, that he wrote, and some of them carry forward a bit. But I have no interest in what his opinion on things are.
No,
Like,
nobody.
and honestly, like, that's true of a lot of writers and folks from different spaces. Like, there's a degree to which I'll be like, oh, do we agree on it? Cool. Like, that's nice. But am I looking to them to tell me about something? Not necessarily. Like Stephen King, I seem to agree with him on a lot of things based on his social media presence. Don't care though. Like,
I mean, I'm often interested, not about do I agree or not, but I'm interested in what people think about stuff. If they're a person who I'm interested in what they think about stuff, I am sometimes interested in what Stephen King thinks about stuff. I have a piece of cardboard up by my desk. Do you remember this? I don't know. I
no,
don't
it's been a
remember when
long
you were
time.
last. And my sister salvaged it from me from the recycling at Simon and Schuster audiobooks like 15 years ago or something. It's just a piece of cardboard that says "Listen to Stephen King," and I
Uh,
think that's funny
yeah.
because I put it by my desk so that sometimes I can be like, kind of like, oh, what would Stephen King do? That doesn't mean I should do what Stephen King would do. Certainly not in
Consider
the
it.
80s, because that would be all the cocaine. But I could listen and I would probably learn something.
You might.
Should we talk about what Matt Goldberg said in the rap about K-pop
Yeah, why
Demon
don't you go
Hunters?
ahead
We
and
didn't do
tell
that.
people about it?
In the rap, Matt Goldberg said, there are times when its soap opera trappings struggle to exist along its goofier aspects. Along? It should be alongside, right? Whatever.
I think
Death
it's
of copy
alongside,
editing.
yeah.
That's weird. But the collection of upbeat tunes and colorful animation. Oh, but with a collection of upbeat tunes and colorful animation, K-pop Demon Hunters makes for a charming little Netflix movie. So, like, that's not a negative review, but it's a less positive review,
Yeah.
basically.
I mean, so one of the things we might have talked about it. I know I've talked with a few people about it. One of the things that is nice about this movie as a streaming platform movie is like it was bad. Like, a lot of them have gotten really bad, like some occasionally even to the point of being like, I can't watch this, I can't finish this, especially Netflix. It's like that churn, that content churn. Like,
Netflix is the worst, like, literally. Fuck Netflix. I don't care. I said it. I subscribe to your crappy little service, but fuck you. You're making us all dumber, and
yeah,
you're doing it on purpose.
and they're
And I
and they're
hate that
they're
about you.
doing that churn, and it's a pain in the ass. And this was nice, and almost like probably some degree to which why it gets as favorably reviewed as it does, because it just wasn't that. And
look, I added it to my watch list because I was like, K-pop Demon Hunters. That sounds really fun. But honestly, I was not going to watch that until I got confirmation that it was at all worth my time. And then like you saw it and you liked it. And friend of the show, Che Broadnax, like was like texting me about it, being like, oh my God, I just watched this. It's relevant to
Yeah.
a lot of my interests. You know, it's very similar in many ways to Josie and the Pussycats, one of the many films he has discussed with us on this show that we all like. I will say one of my critiques of K-pop Demon Hunters, to the degree I have any, is I wish it had been a little more like Josie and the Pussycats in at all looking at the question of fandom and what makes someone a fan and whether or not that's an okay thing, you know,
Yeah.
which it kind of seemed like K-pop Demon Hunters was going to engage with, but then it just becomes like a battle between, you know, the two dominant K-pop bands, one of which is Demons. The Demon band is going to steal everyone's souls. With Huntrix, the, you know, hero band is going to protect their souls. But it's really, like, paternalistic, right? Because they don't tell the fans anything about the demons, right? They're not like letting them in. They're not exposing the secret. They're just protecting them from it, which is a very different kind of setup than we've got going over on Elm Street.
Yeah.
But I thought, you know, and if anyone hasn't seen the goddamn movie, even though it's like the most popular Netflix movie ever or something, so probably more people have seen it than have seen a lot of the movies we talk about, if you're listening to this. The fuck was my point? Oh, so it's like, you know, the Saja boys, the demon band comes to try to steal all of Huntrix's fans so they can steal their souls for reasons. And I thought it was going to kind of go to a place about, like Josie does, about like the idea of like, to what degree are fans brainwashed? To what degree is the adoration that fans feel towards celebrities kind of scary, kind of fucked up, certainly a huge responsibility, that sort of thing. Like the huge responsibility thing is there in terms of like, well, we're protecting your souls from demons. But there was no other like unpacking of fandom and pop fandom. And I am really hoping that they will go there in the sequel. I think they could.
There's a sequel coming. I guess I missed that.
I heard that. That's what I heard. And
that makes
of course
sense.
There's
of course
a sequel
they would.
coming.
Of course, yeah. There's always going to be a sequel.
It's Netflix. It may have nothing to do with this one, even if everybody involved is like, hell no, I'm not coming back. Netflix is
They'll do a cheaper made animated sequel and all that stuff. But speaking of criticisms of K-pop Demon Hunters, they're on Letterboxd. Lucas Silva said, "This was so uncomfortable to watch. I'm not going to lie. I couldn't get past 40 minutes. It felt so cringe. If you're a K-pop fan or have millennial humor, you'll love it." And it was kind of tough to pick exactly like which half star thing, because there was a bunch, of course, because it's a recent movie. But also like what was representative, and this was kind of representative. I think there's a degree to which there were people who were just like, I couldn't finish this. And it's like they
Okay.
like, everybody likes this movie, and I bring it up partly because of the it felt so cringe popped up in my head. And I see this idea pop up, and sometimes people talking about, like, the youth talking about cringe on like the TikToks when I'm scrolling TikToks, or sometimes when I'm around youths, when I volunteer at the zoo and there are youths around who are also volunteering, who I'm trying not to interact with too much because we don't have anything to talk about. Talking about things being cringe, I'm just like, I understand even when I was young, oof, that's cringe wasn't maybe the word we used, but the idea was there. But it's also sort of, can't things just be kind of dopey? Like,
Um,
why
m-
not?
my reaction was, this is a movie for children.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't say cringe, I would say cringy, but actually when cringe came into parlance with the young people, I was like, finally, my time is here. Like, I often, Zoomers are often saying shit I was saying when I was their age, and I felt so alone. And I'm like, I am an anachronism. I was born in the wrong generation, apparently. Anyway, um, I have no problem with the concept. I think it's just, we all know, we all know. I think it's so overused, one. And
Yeah.
two, I'm like, but also to say, like, to dismiss something as being cringe is bizarre to me, because I'm like, all you're saying is that it's a little embarrassing. Something
Yeah.
could be a little embarrassing and also worthwhile.
Eh,
So it's like, to just write, I mean, sometimes fine, it's appropriate, but I feel that a lot of things are written off as being cringe in a way that makes me be like, yeah, that's why we do actually need there to be some cringe. We need people to be earnest sometimes and just vulnerable and not having to have an ironic edge that makes them cool.
Yeah.
That is something I value. So that's what bugs me about
I
how much it's used.
I
And
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree, because I also think some of the observations I've seen of the usage of it is that the problem is that the generation that is leveraging the term the most, which I don't think it's exclusive to, of course, has grown up being very visible online, with everybody being very visible online. So embarrassment is more than just like, oh my God, my five friends saw me be stupid. Like suddenly it's like anybody can see you be dopey. Anybody can see you be kind of cringy or overly earnest or something like that. And it seems almost uh like what you were talking about, the ironic detachment sort of thing or whatever. Is that what you're referring to?
Sure.
I
Yeah. I
feel like
mean, just
I couldn't remember the term you were using, and I just didn't want to misrepresent it. But like is like almost even more pronounced than like Gen Z is so well was like so sort of semi-famous for it in the 90s. Like
Gen X, you mean?
Gen X. Sorry, what did I
Yeah.
say?
Oh,
Did I say Gen Z
you said
again?
Gen Z, but
I
I'm
meant Gen
like,
X. I meant Gen X. Sorry. Gen X was so sort of famous for it in the 90s, but like it almost seems like the Gen Zers, maybe the Gen Alphas, whoever who there is almost like more affected by that, and more sort of the ones that are
oh, in the
terminally
negative
on.
way, you mean? Because it's like you
Yeah.
don't, yeah, I mean, I think that goes for
I
so
mean,
many things. Cringe, definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Because it's like,
I mean, it's not
I
like
was, I was posturing in zines, not 50 social media accounts
yeah.
that I'm like on all the time, and people are like watching me go about my day because that's what we're supposed to do now, according to Mark Zuckerberg.
It it is, and yet and yet they're effectively killing you start to see more and more actually not not sort of trying to call it too early, like is social media on the way out, and like
I
I
think
had like a
so.
brief exchange on Blue Sky, where I go on things, and every once in a while, I mostly share, and every once in a while on a few of them, like I'll interact with a few people, but it's way more casual than it used to be. I don't rely on it for spreading the word on. So like I share that we're doing this, and some other things. But I had an exchange because I was thinking about when I was working as a social media manager in mid 2018, And I think it peaked because somebody was saying, like, has it peaked? And I was like, I think it peaked at the end of 2017, like in 2018 or maybe early 2018, because I think it was on its way out then. And because I remember we had a lot of conversations about this at the time. We were watching organic interaction and reach and communication very quickly fall apart because of the implementation of algorithms, because of like pay to play becoming more of a deal. Like it was on its way out. And at this point, so much because what they're talking about is the advent of these both Meta and Open AI, like now have like AI driven like
Yeah.
feed video like social platforms, and it's just like, they're like, you've heard of the dead internet theory. Well, we're gonna make it happen, like,
We're just gonna kill the internet. It's just gonna be like corpses talking to corpses.
yeah. And it's just, so I think that there's I do think it is
Chatbots talking
collapsed.
to chatbots.
But you know what hasn't collapsed? It's this 5-star review of K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh God, that may be all that's keeping us standing.
Exactly.
Should I read it, or do you
Go
want to
for
read
it.
it?
Read it.
I don't know how to pronounce the
I don't
reviewer.
either. Two reviews.
Two reviews. Been told to watch this by everyone. Took me a while to come around, and I regret not watching it sooner. Obsessed with the story, plot, characters, and music. Hoping for a next one. I agree.
Yeah.
I listened to the soundtrack to this. Like I was going to say I don't just put on the soundtrack, but that's a lie. I have absolutely just put on the soundtrack while I'm like walking wherever I'm going. But I have incorporated the songs from it into like some of my playlists. Like Sean knows about every year I make my Pop Girls of the Year
Right.
playlist. And
They
there's
are
some on
girls
there.
and there's pop.
I mean, not everyone on my Pop Girls playlist is girls, because I'm not essentialist like that. It's about the vibe of Pop Girls.
Yeah.
That year. And it's on there. It's on my like general like 2025 lists. It's on a bunch of playlists for a certain script you and I are working on. It's on there too.
Mhm.
So I think I'm not very literate in K-pop. I basically only know a little bit of like BTS, who are like the most famous ones, or the most famous ones. What am I talking about? They are an incredibly famous K-pop band. I know them because I like playing their songs on Beat Saber. That's mostly why I know BTS. And then I really like Cat's Eye. I'm forgetting the name of their EP, but Cat's Eye, spelled with a K, which is the first international K-pop group, which means they're not all Korean, but they were put together using K-pop methodology. But they're awesome. I love Cat's Eye, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I think the characters and story are good. I hope they develop it more in the next one. We forgot to talk about how the authority figures repressing thing. Wow,
it's
I'm
in
great
both
at
of them. Yeah.
Yeah, in K-pop Demon All Stars, Celine or whatever her
Demon
name is,
Hunters.
the aunt, Rumi, who is half demon.
Yeah.
Her like aunt or mom's best friend or something raised her, knows she's half demon, and is like, you can't tell anyone this ever. You got to keep this covered up. But like, yeah, she is integral to the big lie Rumi tells. That's kind of what is, besides the Saja Boys showing up as a, demon boy band, that's what creates the problem, right?
Yeah.
Is that she has this secret that she has been keeping under wraps, that she is finding it increasingly impossible to keep under wraps while also doing her job. But, she's been told by the adults in her life that it is not a possibility to let her bandmates or anyone else in on what's going on. That like...
Yeah, which also has a lot to do with I mean, there's a direct connection there to Dream Warriors and the head doctor in the institute in the thing being like, we can't talk about these dream stuff. You can't be doing this. This is nonsense. We need to talk about real things. And it's that I think both of them have a strong sense of like repressing is not healthy, not helpful, and I think that's I think that's a good message in them. I think for both of them, I think it's a message that comes up a lot in different places and yet is not necessarily like we keep needing to have that message in films for reasons.
Especially now. I mean, now
Yeah.
there's all kinds of shit that when I was a kid, I would have been like, this is corny. Mainstream entertainment under Reagan understands this. And now it's bad times, everyone. It's bad times.
If people would like to know more about what we think about movies, they can check us out on Letterboxd.
Because we talk about it there.
Well, you leave more reviews than I do. I don't leave that many reviews.
I talk about it there.
I sometimes leave a review. I usually don't leave reviews very long. I prefer to do like what we're doing, which is like discuss a movie and go back and forth. Like my thoughts about movies are usually like, I enjoyed that, or I didn't enjoy that, or sometimes just like a trying to be slightly clever about how I didn't like something. But anyway, I'm Uncle Sean on there. You're Nicole Whitty on there. If you're watching the video, it's underneath us.
Witte.
Witte, Uncle, like you spell uncle. And then
Yes.
Sean, like the only correct way to spell Sean unless you're racist. Anyway.
You're calling Sean the Sheep racist?
Sean the Sheep is British, is he not?
I don't think he's subjugated by the British.
Well, then they forced the racist name on him.
Okay, fair enough. I can't fight with this. What else do we need to tell people about?
I think just any last thoughts about the movies?
They're great. They're great.
People should watch them. They're enjoyable movies.
You know what? People should watch them if they sound like movies they want to see. Like, for instance, Lucas Silva, like, if you don't like K-pop, why did you watch K-pop Demon Slayers?
Demon Hunters.
Demon Hunters. Whatever. But like, it says K-pop. It's right there in the title. Like, that's half the movie is K-pop. So,
yeah.
If you hate K-pop, that's fine. But probably this isn't a good movie for you then.
I think there's a thing where it's just some people they need everybody to like they need to be having the correct opinion about film. So if everybody else likes the film and then they watch it and they're like, I don't like it, what's wrong with you? You sent me, or you shared a screenshot just earlier today of
somebody, the response to Paul Scheer's 5-star review of the Ice Cube War of the Worlds, which was a joking 5 stars. If you listen to the How Did This Get Made, I think he has a very astute grasp on what that movie is.
Yeah.
But
no, I was listening. Yeah.
But I shared a screen cap because somebody on because I had commented on that review just to say like, oh, I hope this means you're doing it on the show or something like that. And so now I get they did, and it was great. But now I'm getting emails from Letterboxd every time somebody comments on this review.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not replies to my comment, just comments at all. And today there was this one where somebody was like, I appreciate the commitment to the bit, but like, you're preventing this movie from coming down to an average below 1 star.
Yeah.
And maybe the person was kind of being a little cheeky and doesn't really give a fuck and is kind of joking.
I don't think that's the case.
And which I can't help but wonder, why are you even thinking about that? Like,
There's
Yes,
people who just they want everybody. It's the people who will say that this movie is objectively bad or this movie is objectively great. Like you
yeah.
would get into arguments with these people about, for example, The Last Jedi. They'd be like, "It's an objectively bad movie," and like I would have to say to friends, I'd be like, who aren't in our film circles, I'd just be like, "It is not."
No. And you
Aside from the
sound
fact that
that
I
it's a
think
great movie.
it is arguably the best Star Wars movie. Like in terms of filmmaking, it's definitely the best made Star Wars movie.
I might disagree, but I do think it is one of the best. And I want to say objectively speaking, but I'm not because I'm not that kind of asshole.
Right. But I think that but it's this sort of person who's just like, everybody has to agree on that this is a really bad movie. Everybody has to agree that this is a really great movie. It's why I can't talk to people about Christopher Nolan movies.
You know what this is like though, actually? It's getting so far afield, but on maybe some of our listeners, some of our listener one, whatever, listen to the podcast Who Weekly, which I now listen to. And what's more, I subscribe to get their like bonus episodes because I'm finding it so enjoyable. But they were talking about how somebody like subscribed to their Patreon and had recently unsubscribed because they were like, yeah, like I listened to the main show and, I really liked your banter and like to hear you guys talk and stuff. So I assumed I would agree with your opinions about other pop culture stuff too, that like you talk about on the Patreon, but I actually disagree with you about everything. And so I'm canceling it now. And I'm like, I don't read anybody with the anticipation that we are going to have the same opinion on every pop cultural thing. I like to hear other opinions. I often, if you look at my Letterboxd, I will like reviews that are like, from 5 stars to half a star about a given movie. It's not about, do I agree with this review? It's, do I like this review? Which is a very different question. Some of us aren't afraid of differences of opinion.
I can also
and
just
think it's
disagree
weird and
with
creepy
somebody.
to try to crush. Yeah.
I mean,
it's fine.
Just to speak of like the podcast we were just referencing, how did this get made? There are several times where I'll just be like, I don't agree with what they think about that movie. Like either they really, really didn't like a movie where I'm like, I think it's a better movie than that. Or they really, really love a movie where I'm like, you fucking kidding me? And that's fine because it's fun to listen to for other reasons. Or sometimes it's the I don't need to be seeking out, and I don't necessarily seek out like people who I'm gonna disagree with and be like mad about it. But like, as if somebody makes a good point about something, I can be like, well, I don't agree with your final assessment, but you make a good point about how this doesn't work or that doesn't work, and
Here's the thing. One doesn't have to do the weird, like, libertarian fantasy thing of you need to be finding people who don't agree with you. And I'm like, no, you need to be finding people who you respect. You need to be finding people who say or write or whatever they do shit that is interesting and makes you think about stuff and maybe helps you understand things better. And inevitably, some of those people are going to disagree with you sometimes. Like, the goal isn't let me find a random person with a different opinion because like all different opinions are equal. There are some things that are not up for debate. Like, whether or not people with disabilities, for example, have just as much of a right to fucking live as people who don't believe that they have disabilities. Just,
that's
nothing
not
to
really,
do with.
Yeah, that's we don't need
A lot
those
of people
people's
think that. A
opinions.
lot of people think that's up for debate. A
Yeah,
lot of people disagree. I don't think I need to spend my time engaging with that. However, that's in a very different category than like, is literally any given movie good or bad. I'm interested in why somebody has a different opinion. Not if I am not interested in their opinion, but if there's someone I agree with a lot, that's going to be all the more reason, actually, why I'm going to be really interested when we do diverge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Call me crazy.
I do often.
And you should, because I am, but not because I can tolerate a difference of opinion.
No. And speaking of differences of opinion, it's about time that we wrapped up.
It is.
I'm
Let's do that.
so good with the segues today, just like nailing them. All of them smooth.
I'm not even noticing. It just flows.
Yeah, people should like and subscribe and do all that stuff that's going to be in the ending credits thing. And we'll be back eventually. Life and work and stuff gets, we've done some episodes lately. We'll do some more soon. We have many ideas. We're full of ideas.
You can share your ideas with us too. Where can they share their ideas?
There's a comment. There's comments right under the video here. Or if you're listening to
leave a review. Anywhere. Just write it on the wall.
Yeah. Apple
We're not
Podcast
to
does
public
it.
art.
Spotify episodes can get comments now. Like all that stuff is available.
That say the celluloid mirror, and then I don't know what a
or
link
comments
is
underneath it. Yeah.
Yeah, and just put them up around town.
Yeah. Anywhere.
Yeah. Glimmer agrees. Can we see her, Glimmer?
No.
Oh.
Can't see.
I'm petting her. I'm not just reaching into a void.
I mean, you're kind of reaching into a void. You're kind of reaching into Nancy's face there.
And let us all reach into the void in Nancy's face until we talk about films again.
All right. Goodbye, everybody. The Celluloid Mirror is a production of 4 Mile Circus and is hosted by Sean Mannion and Nicole Solomon. Learn more at 4milecircus.com. To keep up with the next episode, make sure to subscribe and click that button to get reminders. You can also join our Patreon at patreon.com/4milecircus. All the links are below. Our opening and closing music is Twisted by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his music at incompetech.com.
I ended up in that hall of mirrors. There was another girl. She looked like me. Exactly like me.
Can you come with me, Rejoice?
That'll do, baby. What happens when the story dies? The evil is set free. I have to return some videotapes.